This evening, I would like to talk a little bit about open houses in this time where we're all challenged by having virtual meetings and we're really challenged about bringing in new guests. And before we get super far into the weeds, I just wanted to start with thinking a little bit about what goes into an open house. Because if you think about your goal when you're setting it up, then you get a better idea at the end how many things you were able to accomplish and how successful you are. So if your goal is just to have new members join, that's fine. And think about that when, people either there aren't as many guests as you were hoping, or people don't actually send in the checks. It can be a bummer. But there's also the opportunity to not just reach out for new members, but also help your club mates develop new skills and make sure that your club has extra material for publicity. So there's a couple different angles that you can go at from here. So when you first decide to have an open house, it can be done all by yourself, but it's really unpleasant, and I wouldn't recommend it. I'm going to suggest bringing in a few people from your club who are interested in supporting you. Now, one opportunity, hey, Robert, can I share screens, please?
Yeah, let me
Sorry, I didn't give you the warning.
Nope, that's totally fine. Okay, so you should be able to do a screen share. Check it out now.
Sweet. So one opportunity when we're doing these different special events is to encourage other members to develop new skills, maybe accomplish new projects in Pathways. So I took a little screen clip of that Pathways chart that I love so much. I love so much that I visited the Japanese club that produced this, and I thanked them for it. But there are a few more advanced projects that can easily segue from the open house. Some of them have to do with leadership, successful collaboration, or motivating others, or let's see, what was the other one I saw that was, I think those were, and managing projects successfully. If you're leading the group or part of the group, there are different projects that can help. There's also specific components of an open house that can, again, parlay well into a project, like running an online meeting, developing a communication plan, developing, what is it? I think there's got to be a public relations project in there. There it is, public relations strategies, to talk a little bit about the event and beyond. So there's a few different projects that people on your committee might be able to use when you're setting up this special meeting. In addition, there's also the opportunity to take a look at your club and figure out what are some of your strengths and how can you leverage those strengths into advertising. If you know your club has a lot of fun, you can emphasize that in your ads out to the world. Come on in, have fun with our club. Come in, network with our club. If you have members of your club who are in multiple professional organizations, in multiple professional, multiple industries, it might be helpful to even indicate that, you have lots of professionals in your club to network with and leverage that. If your club really focuses on communication, if you always have lots of speakers and you're really able to do great evaluations, you can leverage that in your advertising. All of these different things can make your advertisements unique. It's not just come to Toastmasters Club, but specifically come to a Toastmasters Club because our club does great speeches and we can help you learn to also. Or we develop great evaluations and can help you accomplish learning how to do this. Giving feedback is important. If you're looking at your club and you realize that you need a little polish before you do an open house, it's a good time to work on that before the open house. Set your open house a month or so out and reach out to different individuals to make sure they know how to do their roles. If you have new club members, help them develop a better capacity to do those roles. Make sure your timer actually has either colored paper or the ability to use backgrounds. Make sure your general evaluator remembers exactly how to call different reports. Make sure your Toastmaster knows how to use different segues and make sure to convey a theme throughout. So these are all different opportunities to improve your club culture and also to share your club culture with others and bring those members in. So once you have a team and you have an idea about making sure your team can use different projects to work really hard on this event, one of the early steps is getting the PR out there. And how do you do that? Obviously, we're on Zoom for now. Using social media can be super helpful. And sometimes it's just making sure all of your club members share events on Facebook or share graphics or images on LinkedIn. Lots of good information, remembering to use the date, a contact point, either email, or if you feel confident about using a Zoom link in an image, maybe a specific topic that you're going to be focusing on that evening. Ideally, make it look professional, so either use some of the materials that are found on the Toastmasters.org site to make sure that it's branded correctly. And there are some additional opportunities out there that might not be Toastmasters ideal, but they still make your images look good. So I'll talk about that as well. But make sure that that information gets shared, because if you're talking to the same 5 people about Toastmasters and they're just not coming in, maybe broaden your scope. One opportunity is the Meetup page. And Meetup has changed whom they allow to change event information. So if you're having problems getting Meetup to do what you want, let me or Keith know, because we're both administrators. If I need to go out and make changes for everybody, I can do that. But we want to make sure and get your advertisements out there. Another opportunity is Facebook neighborhood pages, or even like Ring neighborhood pages. Nextdoor is an option. Getting the information out to people just so they know that your club exists and is a great opportunity to develop professional speaking and leadership skills.
What did you say about the neighborhood page? What was that called?
So different, on Facebook, there are different neighborhood pages.
Okay.
And usually it's like a suburb or a town name. Like there's Bayview Town Hall, there's River West Neighbors. There's also buy, sell, and trade pages, which have a really high volume of people looking.
Okay.
And it's not so much for people to sell, but it's an opportunity to get the information out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And then there's also like Nextdoor is another social media site. Ring often has like networked information available through the internet. LinkedIn is an
You said it's called Nextdoor?
Nextdoor, yep.
Okay.
They do different communities, so it's more hyper local. It's within just a few blocks of you. So that in that kind of a case, it would be really important to make sure that multiple club members are putting this information out. Because just because you're the VP of PR, that doesn't mean that you're the only person putting stuff out there. You lead your team.
Okay.
Okay. So you put the information out there. Maybe there's a point of contact. I know one of my clubs actually has people contact somebody by email to get the Zoom link. Other clubs do put their Zoom links out there. Sometimes people put their club website, and then people can either do the contact us, or there might even be a Zoom link right on the club website. Be aware that if you don't have a password, it's easier for them to Zoom bomb you, but by manually requiring a password like we use here with this meeting, it's less likely to be taken over by spammers and bots. Yep.
What have you seen in the district or the area or nationwide for clubs that are growing? Like we have a couple new members, but one is, and by the way, just so you know, I just sent Ken over to the coaching meeting, so we're not duplicating efforts.
Okay. And this is going to be taped.
Yeah. So, oh, okay. But this way we're each at one of them. I mean, we did have somebody actually join our club, which I was shocked, especially during a pandemic. And normally if we were meeting at the library, it would be really easy because, you know, that kind of attracts people that like Toastmasters, but we can't get in there now and have everybody fit. So we need to find new ways to track people. And I mean, one of the things we were looking at as well was, I was talking to Kathy Shine and she said some things that she's seen other clubs doing is, I don't know, maybe it's like you bring your pet or your kid, or even the kid gets to give a presentation, or sometimes there's like book clubs, or we're just looking at different, like, I don't know if you want to call it gimmicky things, but just different ways to attract people who might come once, maybe they want to come back. But I know we were talking about this yesterday, but part of it is when everybody's on Zoom, it's like, I mean, when we do, like, we have Kathy Shine, she's a national speech.
Dynamo goddess of the universe.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to be known as that. She doesn't want it to be the Kathy Shine Club, so we can't advertise it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in some ways it kind of begs the question. It's like, you know, when you're meeting remotely, it's like, how are you different? You're just the people in the time you meet. It's like, how are you different from some other place? Or
Well, what I've done is I've visited a few of my clubs in the area. I'm a member of other clubs, and you know, some of it is, what do you try to become? So a couple of my clubs are corporate.
mm-hmm.
So like Rockwell is a club that has a lot of engineers, and they are meticulous. They are on time. They get through their meetings with lots of speakers, and they do it with precision. And that's great. Other clubs are not precise, but they're still a lot of fun and successful, like DJAP. We frequently go overtime by at least a half hour, but we know we're going to, and that's okay. Other clubs, you know, vary somewhere on that continuum between precise and slackers. And I mean that with the best of all, you know, preference, but the ability for people to focus on what they want to do. That was that first step about making sure that your club is ready for guests. So if you want your club to be fun but on time, you know, that's an opportunity. That's great. And then when you're thinking about themes, whether it's for your open house or in general for different meetings, you know, how do you want people to know about you? Do you want to be just the fun club, which is an option? And like Waukesha has, Funny Hat Day, and Waukesha does, they do have some crazy themes. So if you want to check out their website, Waukesha Toastmasters often has unusual themes that are just funny.
Is that the one that meets at Goodwill or used to meet at Goodwill?
Yep.
Okay.
They're on Thursdays, I guess, every other Thursday. But then there's also.
Are you in that club?
No, I live in Milwaukee.
Okay. Yeah, I had actually a friend who like tried out both of our clubs and she picked their club. And I mean, that club has a lot of really strong people in it. I think it's bigger than ours too.
Well, but your club does also. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just it. All of the clubs in my area have strong members.
Yeah, and we have a lot of strong people, and we're kind of like at this point. I mean, I do a lot of speeches. Kathy does quite a few, but she's in 3 clubs, so she divides it up, and she's working a lot of hours now. But I mean, I have a lot of people that are really happy to show up, but they don't want to, and they're really happy to be the timer and do all the ancillary roles that a lot of times people don't want to do. But nobody really wants to speak very often. Or be Toastmaster, maybe they'll be table topics master, or they'll be happy to do an evaluation, but they don't want to do stuff that requires a lot of prep work. So we're like the ideal place if we can find new people, because in a way we have everybody there to help mentor and do great evaluations. But
what you might consider is so you can have the fun themes. Fun themes tend to be more internal cohesive. And when I say that, I mean people within the club might think it's funny and silly and fun. But from outside, I don't know if I really need to make sure that I attend a Zoom meeting because people are wearing funny hats.
so that's not going to, I mean, our group's already cohesive. It's like a nice little family. It's a functional group of people that get together during the pandemic, and we might do some table topics, and some speeches. But
well, actually, your club is extremely cohesive, and I'll say it right here on the recording. On your area director report, I pointed out that your club is extremely supportive of one another. On the one hand, when I was at your officer meeting, it wasn't precise, precision, explicit action plan. You guys supported one another and communicated really well and shared a lot of information. So there was a lot of information flying around. So I hope the minutes reflect that, so everybody has that information.
we're going to have another meeting this Thursday too, just so you know.
Yep. But the thing is, because you are a cohesive, friendly group, that's great. But how can you attract more members? Because if you say, we're supportive and friendly, that's great. Make sure that you stay supportive and friendly to new people. And you can use that as part of your advertising.
Okay.
Yuri is in a club that has a wide variety of members, from young professionals through to senior Toastmasters who have been around a very long time. And it's really interesting how diverse that club is, because they have people from multiple continents.
Oh, wow.
So that's exciting.
Oh, that's the one at the medical college, right?
No, the one I'm talking about is the one in our area. He's at Alice Chalmers.
Oh, okay. I haven't been to that one.
Yep. It's very fun. So check it out. It's on Tuesdays.
Heck, we have one coming up this week, Tuesday.
Yep.
This
I'll be
coming
visiting.
Tuesday at 7. If you'd like, Liz, I can forward you the link. Come check us out. I mean, like as Teresa pointed out, I'm from Russia. You may know that already. I think we have someone from who likely is a native of China. We have someone from possibly Africa or thereabouts. But as Teresa mentioned, it does support that point that we are multiple age, multiple stages in professional development, what have you. I mean, if you have time, come check us out, do a table topics with us or something. But maybe it'll give you an idea how to apply it to your own club.
That'd be interesting. Are you guys meeting on Zoom or in person?
We are.
Everybody's Zoom.
Everybody's still on Zoom. Okay.
And we continue planning meeting on Zoom for the foreseeable future. Like you, we have a few restrictions with finding or returning to a specific physical place. For now, we're gonna stuck with Zoom.
Okay. Actually, this Tuesday, I'm giving a speech at Chris's club, so I can't come, but maybe the next time you meet, I can
Yeah.
pop in.
They're good. They're fun.
Can I throw something on here, Teresa?
Yeah, please.
Regarding your club too, when you get people to the meeting, I understand that, there's always a challenge of getting people to the meeting, but also when you get people to the meeting, it's kind of this cyclical dance. You have to have a good meeting to be able to sell people on joining, and you have to get people to the good meeting in order to talk to them about joining. But I guess I highly encourage people to sell what you have. If what you have is a whole bunch of members who are great at giving feedback, who don't want to speak, the fact that you have speaking slots is a selling point,
Okay.
not necessarily for Toastmasters, but for your club versus another club. I know that I sold one club that I was coaching with the idea, there's a club just down the street, and you can't get a speaking slot to save your life. You have like a 3-month wait to get a speech. If you start here right now, you can start next week or, 2 weeks or whatever the next meeting is. And we're not going to, and then I always qualify, and we're not going to try to pressure you or force you to do that. But if you really want to get cranking on this, we can do that. There's a book that I really love. I was talking to Teresa about this the other night. It's called Ice to the Eskimos by a guy named John Spolstra. And it's a book about a guy who's a sports marketer. And he wound up marketing for a failing basketball team. And they were trying to figure out what they could sell. They didn't have a good team. They didn't have hope of having a good team. They didn't have a fan base. They didn't have anything. And he came up with what they could sell. They're selling the opponents. This is back when Jordan was playing with the Bulls. And you couldn't get a ticket to see Jordan play anywhere in the country. You could when they played this team, but you got to watch them play the horrible team, but they got to play somebody. So basically it's an interesting, book about marketing. And the whole idea is kind of, you work with what you have. You don't try to figure out, well, if we only had this, if we only had this, if we only had this. And also too, you don't go out there on your Facebook page necessarily and say, we're a Kathy Shine parentheses team.
Right. She would. I mean, if she would let me, I would do that, because I think a lot of people would come just for that. I mean, Kathy's really busy now. She's working a lot of hours. But I mean, if you come in, and she used to be the VP of membership, and now I am. But I mean, she really, even though it's not her official job anymore, she reaches out and she does a lot to. She cares deeply. So
the other thing I wanted to throw at that though is, okay, so don't use Kathy's name, but what is Kathy as far as a role apart from her name? Well, she's a highly experienced evaluator.
yes.
So your club then, by virtue of the fact that you have Kathy and some other people, you are a premier club for getting feedback on a speech. Sell that. If you can't sell the fact that you have Kathy, sell the benefits that Kathy provides the club and promote that. And when you get your people in your meeting, when you do get these occasional unicorn guests that show up, make sure they're aware of all of these little things that make your club distinctive. Because, and I'm not a great salesperson, I got to just confess right now, but I used to know a guy who sold hot tubs. And if he was the first guy to try to sell you a hot tub, you would be ruined for every other interaction you were going to have with any other salesperson, because he had taught you subtly how to think about buying a hot tub. And I'm not going to suggest that you're going to get that good at sales in your Toastmasters thing, but if you're bringing these things up, the idea of speech slot availability and that sort of thing, that they're thinking about that. Oh yeah, that's a benefit. Oh yeah, that's a benefit. And so if they go visit another club, they're going to be thinking, I can get this at Speak TV. Can I get this here? Or Speak Easy. Sorry, I got the two clubs.
I confuse them all the time too, because I belong to both. Well, I mean, the other thing I could see too, which the group doesn't want to do, and I guess it's not legal, so we can't. But I mean, we have like almost $1,000, and I'm sure there's some unemployed people that would agree to come and give speeches, but we can't pay for their dues.
Right.
But I mean, that could solve a lot of problems. We can't do that, but yeah.
Just as a heads up, I'm hearing thunder, so if anybody has electrical issues and they need to deal with that, heads up, because it's a surprise storm. I wasn't expecting it at all.
Doesn't look like it's raining by you, Yuri.
Yeah, Yuri's got sunshine.
Yes,
Um, so as you're thinking about, what your club's strengths are and what your opportunities are, work on those before you actually have your open house. Because if you have an open house and people don't show up on time and the Toastmaster doesn't know what they're doing and nobody's doing a speech and somebody's got technical issues, maybe that's not your best face forward.
Right.
So part of open houses is getting that information ready for your guests ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the guests are in the room, make sure that you get their email and any other contact information that you might collect, because not everybody loves email all the time. But, be respectful, request the contact information, and then get back to them. It was good to meet you. I like talking to you about how you're looking for a job. What industry are you looking for? Or I really think that our club can help you develop these professional skills you want to develop. Reach out to them fairly close to right after the meeting, like within 12 hours. Reach out to them again about a week later. Hey, I was wondering if you had any questions about the club or any of the other material you might have sent, because frequently people will have a guest package. Here's information about what kind of projects you can do. Here's information about our meetings, however you do that. Yep.
What do you give people for information about projects? I'm the new VP of membership too, so that's kind of like my bailiwick now.
There are some basic Pathways flyers and like adaptations of that little card that we first got with the Pathways package that they have available out on the Toastmasters.org site. I'll have to do some digging to find the exact one. But they also offer, I know some clubs and districts have also developed them. So if you start by even just Googling Toastmasters, Pathways, and Robert just sent out an official link from Toastmasters. If you Google Toastmasters Pathways guest, Toastmasters Pathways project brochure, Toastmasters Pathways, I cannot remember the word for when somebody is giving a positive review of something.
Recommendation?
Something like that. Yeah, recommendation.
Endorsement?
Or, yeah, so there's all sorts of different things out there that clubs and districts have developed. And you don't have to just yank it wholesale, because they'll probably actually be mentioning themselves in it anyway. But it'll give you an idea of what you can develop.
Okay.
Can I also throw something on there?
Yeah.
As far as Pathways, and this is one of these things where people don't know what they don't know. And I guess I try to encourage people to think less about Pathways, because I know that it's on all of our minds because the whole education program just got upended and we're all kind of trying to figure this out and learn the new thing. I don't tell members much about Pathways other than we have a program that's customized to you. So if you're looking to develop speaking skills, we have that. If you're looking for a mix of speaking and leadership, we have that too. We have a program where basically you have a lot of choice in what you learn. But what I do is I give them a copy of the icebreaker. I just give them the PDF because the PDF is available on the Toastmasters website somewhere.
It's also available as a link, so you can give them that more interactive HTML option as well, because that way they're going to get the look and feel of a project as well. So either way.
Yeah, well, and in this particular case, I'm talking about it was a physical guest packet that we were doing. We actually printed off the icebreaker in black and white, otherwise we'd go broke. And we attached that in our physical guest packet. But basically, I found that, rather than telling somebody everything about things, unless they're super, super interested, There are some people who are engineering types, they're detail oriented, and hey, that might be the thing that they groove on. That's what gets them to join. But I'd encourage you to basically focus on, what they do next, and try to, give them the little bit of, when you join Toastmasters, you're going to give a few speeches. The first speech is going to be about this, second speech is going to be about this, that sort of thing. And just kind of give them an idea of what it's going to be like, and stress the feedback, the fact that you're going to help them. I think that most of the information out there about pathways is fantastic, but it's overwhelming. I did put 2 links in the chat.
I copied them, thanks.
The second one is the simple flyer that has 2 pages. And I think that the 2-page flyer has some testimonials on the back and a list of all the paths updated for engaging humor on the front. So it's just kind of a quick little 1-sheet high-level overview. And it's just something nice to include for guests, I guess.
I like that. That would be very cool. Yes.
Do you guys happen to know, and I don't know if Toastmasters makes this data available, but like since March, since the pandemic started, does Toastmasters keep track of who's joined, and can they see like what paths people are signing up for? Like, is it leadership that's of interest? Is it I know you can pick 2 paths, or they can probably see if people are making progress too, but do they track that stuff, or maybe they're going to be talking about that at the conference? I don't know.
I don't know that they've segmented out the data since March. I think it's a little challenging to use paths as an indicator, because there are some clubs out there that simply say, go to presentation mastery, that's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, that's not the worst thing to do if you want people to just dive in and get going.
Right.
But if somebody is really, I want to get promoted at my job, I really need to learn these specific professional communication skills so I can lead a team, that's going to say, don't go with presentation mastery, try some of the other ones. But most people are like, yeah, I just want to learn how to do more speeches. Yeah, that's presentation mastery or the humor path. So
and for what it's worth, even if they get stuck in presentation mastery, in level 4, there's the elective. In level 5, there's an elective. In level 3, there's the electives. So, I mean, they won't be as tailored, but almost everything that's a required project in one path is an elective in the others. Almost everything. I'm not aware of an exception. So if there's a level 4 required project for, leadership development or whatever it is, and they're in presentation mastery, well, they can do the LD required level 4 project as an elective in level 4. It's all still accessible to them. It's just,
are the level 4s the same across the board? The electives?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Again, I'm not aware of an exception. There may be one.
Okay.
Actually, level there's 4, a lot of them. The requirements are, there's some in many of the paths, the required projects are only in that path.
Okay.
At some level. So it gets a little weird, but
I know there's a lot of them that are shared though too.
There are a couple. So basically for the specific focus of, giving guests information, that 2-page thing is great. The icebreaker as a link is great. It just gives people the opportunity to poke around a little bit. There's actually a brand new membership pack. I'm not sure if it's something that Robert already.
Can I ask you guys something where you're pulling that up? One of the things that my club's struggling with too is it's like nobody knows how long we're going to be meeting in Zoom. And I think if we'd known we're going to be doing it for 6 months, at least till the end of the year, and who knows, it sounds like this could be going on for like another 18 months. A lot of Toastmasters only belong for a year or 2 years. I mean, we could be recruiting across the country, but it's kind of like we don't want to do that because, it's like, well, what if we go back to meeting in person? And, we're not going to be like filming and, doing it both ways because we're not a digital club. But
right. It's actually something that your officers need to discuss, because I know that 1 or 2 clubs out there are like, we hate digital, we hate virtual, we hate Zoom. We want to get in person as soon as possible, and we are not looking back.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, at least a couple of my clubs have announced that they will be either virtual or hybrid, at least through the dues period.
Mhm.
So when you bring people in and you say, hey, when you pay your money, that's good through March, you're giving this verbal agreement that you'll be there for them virtually and they'll be there, your member, until March. And so there's a two-way commitment there that you'll be supporting your new member.
But we don't have a camera, and to do that really well, I don't know.
You can do it with a cell phone.
So that would be good enough?
Yeah.
Okay, that we could probably do.
Yeah. I visited a Japanese club and they literally had two guys with cell phones propping them up different directions. So one guy would film the front of the room most of the time. Another guy filmed the back where the people were giving, responses and reactions and stuff. And there were 3 virtual visitors. And so there were 5 windows on my Zoom.
For those 3 people, okay, interesting.
Well, it's the 3 people and then there were 2 on the club. And that's how the virtual went.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a hybrid because there were like 7 or 8 people in the room, but then there were these other members that were scattered about.
We've got a lot of older members, and the last thing I'd hate to do is give them COVID because they could get sick, So
Right.
that's why we're hesitant to come back in person too.
Right. And I'm frankly a higher risk person, so I am not a fan of, I don't go outside. And as an area director, I am really concerned about having to travel in the latter half of my year. I will if I have to, but I'm really, really hoping not to have to do much. And a couple of my clubs don't know where they're going to be meeting anyway, so that's going to also be a challenge. But again, if you have that commitment, we will be virtual or hybrid through at least next March.
Mm-hmm.
You're making that commitment to your guests, to your new members. I just put a link in the chat that is a new interactive page from Toastmasters that is a really great resource to send to guests to tell them a little bit more about Toastmasters. So you can use that and I think there might be an easier, here, I'm going to shorten the link so it's not as intimidating, but it'll still give you all the information.
This is nice.
There you go. So that second one that I'm going to put that there and shorten that up a little bit. And that way you've got this link that you can send people. So if you send people, say, this membership link plus the icebreaker, that's a lot. And then sum up, information about your different members, what makes your club special, how you support each other, how you communicate a little bit. That could be a good thing. One challenge might be deciding on if you always want to send out an application immediately. Right now, one of my clubs has a membership VP that thinks that that's a high pressure option. And I've explained that I think if the guest says they're very interested, yes, send a membership form. If they seem to be backing off, then maybe not. I don't want anybody to feel pressured, but that piece of paper shouldn't be a pressure. It's just, what do you want? Yes, Liz?
Do you keep track of the age? I don't know if Toastmasters releases the age of people, but my club skews older. And I don't know that many old people, unless they're already doing Zoom for work, like there was one lady who was all set to join our club, and then when it went to Zoom, she didn't want to come. And there's another lady who just she rejoined our club. I guess she belonged to it a while ago. And I talked to her because I was trying to get speakers for Thursday. And she's like, well, I just joined to be nice. And she's like, once you're in the library, I'll come back. But it just seems like older people don't necessarily want to do Zoom as much. Can we even attract them? Because that's who our club is, basically.
Well, it's actually interesting because while there are some older people that don't like Zoom, other older people love the technology because that is how they see their grandchildren now.
Mm.
That is how they get to connect with people.
And are they trying to become Toastmasters though?
Well, reach out. If you're using social media, it means that that person already has a computer and can already get on the web. So you're actually selecting from a group of people who, they're a little bit more tech savvy than people who are just sitting home and not doing anything. On the other
Can
hand,
I throw something on there?
Yeah.
Regarding social media too, and some of this when you're trying to attract people, this doubles back to something we were talking about earlier, and we moved on really quick, and I just scribbled it down, put a pin in it because I wanted to come back. As far as things like Zoom meetings, for me, and again, I've been in Toastmasters for a little while. I'm not new to this whole shindig, but it really irritates me if I have to email somebody in a club and give them my contact information to get the information to find the meeting. So
Yeah.
if a club is in that particular boat, I would highly encourage making the link public. And I just want to double back really quick to the whole idea about passwords and links and Zoom bombing and that whole mess of nonsense. When you get a link from Zoom, first of all, Zoom is going to start requiring passwords if they haven't already. So that's going to be an option that's going to be taken off the table. You're going to have a password for your meetings. But when you get a Zoom link, if you're emailing your club members, then don't worry about it. If you're posting it on Facebook or anywhere public, your link in the middle of it is going to have something that says, zoom.us / number question mark PWD equals. That question mark PWD equals embeds your password in the Zoom link so they don't have to type it. And if you're throwing your link out there every which way to the four winds, I would highly suggest removing the question mark PWD and everything that follows it, just because that means someone actually has to click the link and type the password. Put your password right there with the link. But if someone's going to Zoom bomb you, the people that are Zoom bombing, just my thoughts on this as a tech person, are looking for targets of opportunity. And Zoom links with embedded passwords are a higher opportunity target than something where they have to get the link and then look for the password and then type it in manually. So separate those two things. And share the link, because some people are very skittish about giving out their personal information, very skittish. And if they have to email you to get it, then they have to give their information to even see what the club is about. So that's a potential turnoff. And just my thoughts, such as it is.
Yes, Liz?
We've been posting our events on Facebook for like the last year, and we've been meeting in a Zoom environment for, 5-6 months. And, we always have the link up there. And I was worried about it in the beginning, but for the most part, it's just been some of my friends that I've invited that have come, or maybe once we got like a random person, but we've never had any Zoom bombings. Mm-hmm. We'd love to, not that we'd love to have it, but that would be more activity than we're getting.
Well, it's challenging because they'd have to close down the whole thing and then send out a new link and everything. But
I just know there's some clubs that are concerned about that and are hiding their links like it's a secret password or something. And right now, I just feel like that's the wrong direction to move, because you need people in your meetings.
Right. And I was super worried about that the first time too. And then Chris is like, well, because we're using the district's website, and I don't know if she's watching it, but she's like, it's not happening. So it hasn't happened yet anyway. But.
So there's a couple different options for, how to attract people. First off, get ready, improve your meeting hygiene, make sure that roles know what they're doing. Make sure to publicize to your friends, to your professional associates, and to other people who are fairly local. And yes, one opportunity is if you go out to other clubs that aren't neighbors to us, invite people to your club. Have them visit as well. Because if you're sticking around with virtual and hybrid through the end of at least of this dues period, it's a great opportunity to recruit people from outside who can support your club and have those extra speaking opportunities. Yep.
We had that happen too. That older lady that came that was going to join our club and another club. One of our members who belongs to another club invited her to the other club, and she decided to join that one instead, and then was going to come to ours too. And then everything shut down. But it's like, so we've been like the dated but not married multiple times.
Excellent. I've actually visited a few clubs over the past couple months, and I'd like to get to some more, but I've been to Japan, New York, and a couple clubs in California, and I'm hoping to hit Ireland soon. And whenever I go to one of these clubs, I always say, hey, I'm a member of a few different clubs and I'd like to invite you, so let me know. And I've emailed people about your clubs. I've emailed people about Speakeasy and about Alice Chalmers and a few of the other clubs that I work with. Just, you know, who knows if they might want to visit or not, just so it's out there. Yep.
My mentee who was coming to our club quite a bit, and she doesn't have a car, so she wouldn't have been able to join our club if we ever went back to normal. But at some point it looked like she might have actually joined. We didn't ask her, but you know, she was coming a lot. And then she started going to a club in New Zealand, and she actually joined there because, I mean, they're more exotic than we are. but so there's other people that are making the international membership stuff happen.
And that's, it's fun. You get to meet people from different cultures. And if you find a club that really clicks, you can join it. You can be a virtual or hybrid member from outside the district, and that's fine. And on the other hand, you can bring hybrid people in to your club. Right now in Spectacle City, there's a member who has been Zooming in. And I think she's from Illinois, and she visits and comes in, and she's a member, and she gives speeches fairly frequently.
Do you think she'd like to speak at my club? If you're looking to.
I don't have her email, but if you ever visit Spectacle City, you'll probably find her. But
Okay.
But that's just it. You know, get out there, and that's another channel for advertising. When you think about advertising and public relations, you can think about it as channels. And you know, there's the social media, there's all these different websites out there. There's reaching out to individuals that you know. There's reaching out to individuals that you don't know. There's all sorts of different ways to get a hold of people and invite them. So getting the word out, it can be done. And then have a great meeting. Have backup plans if some things might potentially be problems. If you know somebody has technical issues with their computer sometimes, just in case, have a backup. If you know that a speaker might not always be ready with a speech, have a backup plan. And get ready to have a great meeting, whether it's a good, solid, straightforward Toastmasters meeting, or if you decide to publicize either a professional development type of angle. Hey, we're going to talk about interview skills, whether it's a fun, personal type of meeting with, hey, let's have pets, or whether it's just a straightforward meeting that you are just going to nail and give a really great experience about your club. So those are different ways of having those open houses. Yep.
I know this isn't the call for VPEs too, but talk to your VPE and find out who does each role best in your club and put those people on for that meeting.
I'm the VPE.
Some people, okay. So some people are great evaluators, but horrible timers. So have the person who's a great evaluator and a horrible timer be the evaluator. Have the person who's the best timer in your club be the timer, for those meetings. That way you put on a better show.
One thing I was wondering, I signed up for the international conference, and it looks like anybody, whether they're a Toastmaster or not, can sign up and watch the stuff. And one thing I was thinking about, I mean, I do have speakers for my next meeting, but I mean, going forward, I don't know that I'm always going to have them. But there are all these semifinals, and I don't know though I don't know how long the convention's going to be up there, but do you know, or could you find out if we could replay those at a meeting? Because we could have those be speeches, because I would bet money like Kathy Shine might watch them, but I don't know I bet the other people in my club probably will never watch any of the stuff. But if I don't have prepared speeches, I could have some of those semifinalists show their speeches, and then people could evaluate them.
You could probably do anything that's currently posted on YouTube. You would probably be okay playing at a meeting and using for an example critique, I believe. Okay. The stuff from TI, there's a lot of that where there's copyright issues and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, TI charges for on-demand streaming of things, and I don't know what the policy is going to be on that going forward, but I've seen meetings where people have pulled up a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be a Toastmaster even.
Okay, yeah, so that would be another way around it. Yeah. I'm just trying to find different ways to digitally bring in speakers if I don't have, real, people that are working on projects. And I think they might have, did you guys ever go to a conference before? I went to Vancouver a couple of years ago, and I think I paid maybe $600. I paid to go to a lot of, to go to everything, but it was expensive. And I think they waived everything just because Toastmaster enrollments are down, and they may be hoping that, people will see the conference and want to go. And I don't know. But,
it's all virtual. It's nothing in person. So.
But I went to the National Speakers Association conference virtually this month, and I had to pay $500 to go. I mean, there still was a cost. So.
Okay.
The other thing too, if you're short on speakers, Liz.
I am all the time almost.
Talk to people like Chris Poole in our district, or alternatively, you could post to that Toastmasters. There's a Facebook group that Liz is part of. It's called like Toastmasters clubs that offer online attendance or some such thing. Post there and say, this time, Central Time, US, we have a speaking opportunity. Would anybody like it? And the odds are really good.
That's a good
Find
idea.
somebody who wants to give a speech.
Yeah.
And get their contact information and convert them to new members.
Yes. Well, if you get somebody who's just intent on tearing up the Pathways program, just whipping through everything, say, hey, by the way, we meet twice a month. You could speak every meeting. Want to join? Here's the app.
Well, that helps get speakers, but it doesn't help ultimately. It helps because every time we have a speaker, then the people that like to evaluate can evaluate, but it doesn't help. Like if we have somebody from Korea, wherever they come in, they're never going to join, most likely. But yes, yeah, it still gets a speaker.
Yes, they will.
Really?
If they want to speak more than once, they can join.
Have you seen any people from overseas joining our clubs?
I haven't seen them joining our clubs much because we don't advertise to them.
Okay.
On the other hand, I've seen people join the club that I visited in New York and the clubs that I visited in California. So I know people do it.
How did you find them? You just looked them up, or did you see them on the online Toastmaster thing?
Actually, so for the New York one, and we're actually at almost 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna tell this little story, and then I'm gonna ask for final questions, but we can keep chatting after that. So a guy named David, I can't remember his last name right now, he was an area director. He decided when COVID hit that he wanted to visit a meeting in every state. And then he also decided that he wanted to visit multiple international, clubs virtually. And then he used all of this data and he developed like a keynote speech length presentation about all of these clubs and how some of them are a little bit different than others and how there's cultural or localized tendencies. It was fascinating. I'll find the URL later.
Thank you.
So he visited, I think he visited DJAM, and he joined. So we have a member from New York who is a member. He's a real member. We also, and then I visited David's Club, which is a really fun club in New York. They've got at least 20 members. It's got people showing up from all over the place, and some of them are members. David also knows a lot of people in California, so I was invited to these California clubs, and I had a great time there. I'm not joining, but they have people from all over the nation and the world. People will join if you have a fun club and you advertise and invite them. So some of it has to do with going out there and inviting people. So
Yeah, and I'll bring that up at the board meeting, but I just know that none of our members are going to bring people. I mean, that's not going to happen. We have to bring them in.
Well, do it. It's not a board meeting thing. It's a do this thing and suggest it to others. So we've talked a little bit about making sure you have a solid product to sell, improve your club, and decide on exactly what angle you want to take, whether it's, the professional angle, the personal angle, or just a really solid, awesome club. And then there's also how to get the word out. There's social media, there's email, there's, even if you go old school, there are some coffee stores that are still open, put up flyers. Also, invite people when you attend virtual meetings. So those are different ways of reaching out to people and having them attend your open house, and then get ready with the membership packet so they know that they're welcome. They have information about Toastmasters if it's needed. Follow up with them and invite them to future meetings. If you're not following up with your guests, they probably won't come back. They want that welcome experience. They want people to reach out to them and let them know that they would be welcome to come back and how much fun it would be to join the club. So some of this is the same as it was before COVID. Some of it's a little different. We did talk a little bit about URL security, URL security with chopping off the password part and posting it a little separately so you can't just click through and Zoom bomb. But most of it is that very first part, getting ready. Make sure your members are ready, make sure you're putting on a great show, and welcome your guests. Excellent. If you guys want to stick around and chat a little bit more about ways to attract members, things that you've seen in the past that worked, whatever, let me know.
Has anybody done like an evaluation workshop? Because the evaluation contest is coming up.
Actually, Alice Chalmers is doing Evaluation University, I believe, in November.
Okay.
We have to nail down a date. And I know that it's been challenging to get the officers together for that. They haven't, I would like to sit in on that meeting because I'll be helping them with that. So, one of my favorite open houses that worked in the real world before COVID, before virtual, was the Brownie open house, where you it's a membership drive, you bring a guest, you get a brownie. If you don't bring a guest, you don't get a brownie. So that's actually something we didn't really talk a lot about, is there's open houses, which, we talked about the machinations for that. There's also membership drives, which encourage members themselves to take on a little bit more of the responsibility for bringing in those guests. So if you have a membership drive and you want an award for the person who brings in the most guests or who brings in the most people who convert to members, and that should be stated early on, again, that's going to be, organizing this whole project is a project in Pathways. Make sure somebody gets credit. But when it comes down to what are the awards for the people who bring the most people in, that's something that you'd want to set up ahead of time, whether it's, oh, you get this lovely piece of paper that says you won, which, for some people that's adequate. Or if your club or other members have Toastmasters swag they don't want anymore, that can do. Somebody had a really cool Smedley mug a few years back. We gave that out as a gift. The other option could be if your club earns an award in the district and you get like a gift card. Well, they don't do gift cards anymore. It'll be Toastmasters credit. That can get parlayed into an award for a membership drive. So there are different ways to reward people for bringing in guests and new members. And that can really help bring in more people. Make sure you have a decent window of opportunity, whether it's 2 to 4 meetings, and make sure you're tracking accurately. But that can also help bring new members into your club. And for that reason, if you have a few people in your club who want to visit clubs virtually, developing this kind of a membership drive can really encourage them to step forward, go out to all these other clubs, invite people as individuals to your club, and see what happens. And Robert is sharing information about brownies with Prime shipping. That's
Yeah.
No calories in those, right?
If you got $1,000 in the bank, you could literally ship brownies to members that brought guests. So, I mean, I'm just throwing weird ideas out there. I mean,
we could, yeah.
I'm not advocating that you do this necessarily, but again, you can consider, though, it is possible to do things like that. So if you wanted to have a member building incentive and you have like an Amazon Prime account and you can come up with something that you would like to give out as a prize, it's not like, well, you'll get this next time we meet. It's, we can ship this out to you. This is the open house and the person who brings the most virtual guests gets, brownies. And sometimes this is experience I have with open houses. If there's a prize involved, sometimes people will just do ridiculous things to get their friends and buddies and stuff to show up because they figure nobody else is going to come to this stupid thing. So if they can get 3 people, they're a lock, right? So they hit up 3 people and yeah, you have 30 guests at the meeting. Maybe I've never actually seen an open house that crazy. Let's say you went nuts, you had 30 guests at the meeting. Well, if one of them thinks it's even remotely interesting, hey, right. Cool. You got somebody out of that. So.
But again, if somebody thinks it's interesting, they still need you to have that membership path in place. Send out an email pretty much immediately, get their contact information, send out an email or other contact to get them information about what is Toastmasters, what is our club. Reach out to them if they have any questions, invite them to the next meeting, and give them a membership application. Let them know we want them. Okay.
The other thing I'm planning to do, I'm waiting, it'll probably come through tomorrow or the next day, but I just reapplied at UW. I'm an alum from there, but I'm planning to take a film class, and I want to make a video for both of my Toastmaster clubs, and I'm thinking that might be a good selling piece too, that'll give people a flavor of what each club is like.
So this is not membership, but Robert, how did your presentation go yesterday?
For the video editing stuff?
I see a thumb from Liz, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it went fantastically. We're going to drop the recording here sometime in the next 24 to 48 hours. I've just got to get it out of my video software. I figure if you do a presentation of how easy it is to edit video and get it out there on the internet, we should probably get the video out there on the internet for that presentation. Kind of a practice what you preach thing.
Cool. So Liz, it sounds like you've got a phone. If you take multiple short videos of individuals in your club, or whatever you want to conglomerate, and use some of the information that Robert shared, you should be able to put a video together without UWM tuition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm still going to take a class anyway.
If you want to do film eventually and you want to take a class anyway, go for it. But I tend to learn a lot of things outside the classroom, and this is an opportunity for that.
I need both. I need like the deadline of a class and a syllabus and having to keep up with other people.
You want me to give you a deadline?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please have a video done by December 1st.
Okay. We want it before then, before it gets cold, but yeah.
Please have a video before October 1st.
Okay.
Okay, October 1st, writing it down.
Robert, do you know, like, do I have to physically see people, or is it possible, like, if I were doing a Zoom call, could I, like, splice off somebody's part of the video and do that, or is that not, like, have you ever tried that? Do you know what I'm asking?
Zoom is, and I don't want to turn this into a huge video support call, but so we can take this offline if there's too many more questions. But as far as Zoom recordings go, the Zoom records the screen of whoever is the current active speaker.
Talking, okay.
So, yeah, or whoever is pinned or whoever is spotlighted or whatever the heck it is. So, yeah, you do not get, boy, I wish you got this. This would be totally sweet. If you got like a video that came with like a channel for everybody on the call, oh, that would be totally sweet.
Okay.
But no, you don't get
So
that.
I need to go film everybody. Okay, that answers the question.
Well,
yeah.
no, you would just need to make sure that either separate Zoom calls or make sure that as they are speaking, other people are interrupting. So maybe during either a special meeting or a special separate event, that you make sure people know, the talking stick kind of rule, don't interrupt, mute yourself if necessary, make sure everybody has really good lighting, because right now I'm being lit by the gigantic TV I use as my second monitor. I forgot that it's not, summer solstice and I need to turn on my lamp. So having good lighting, making sure your audio is good. And this also works with your open house, making sure that your members are attentive and focused and looking at the screen, not lying down, mute when necessary, but also if your club likes interacting, being able to not mute is really important as well.
If it's critical for your meeting that you get, or for whatever purpose it is, that you get a good recording of somebody, as a host for a call, you can actually mute everybody if you want. So
okay.
That's something you can do. The other thing though, if you spotlight somebody as the host, it's a Zoom feature, you can look it up how to do it. If you spotlight somebody, other people can talk over them, but they will not get the focus.
Okay, so let's look at the video.
Yeah, you'd still get the video. And honestly, it's way, way easier to chop audio than it is to try to figure out how to make video look good if it's choppy.
Okay.
And if you're hosting a meeting or whoever's doing the hosting, have them spotlight the video when the evaluator or the Toastmaster begins introducing the speaker, depending on how you do it for the meeting. Have them spotlight the video to the speaker when they're being introduced, and don't end the spotlight until after the Toastmaster says, thank you, whoever it is, for speaking. Because honestly, nobody cares about seeing the person introducing the speaker. And for video purposes, you only want the actual speaker. And it's easier to chop if you just, give yourself the time on either side to give you the cut points.
Okay, thank you.
What is this spotlighting thing?
When you're hosting a Zoom meeting, it's a function of the host. And Zoom
Here, hang on here. I've got, okay. I just went up on Liz's and I just spotlighted
My cat
Liz.
is spotlighted. Wait, look.
Yes, of course.
Hi.
Yeah.
Pretty happy about that. So as a host,
He doesn't even know he's
and you don't
clueless.
even have to have like the Primo Zoom account. You can have a free account, but you're only going to be recording in half-hour segments.
And you see how Teresa is talking and I'm talking, and yet you somehow can't seem to shake this image of Liz
With
on
the
the screen with the cat.
Yes.
So that's what Spotlight is. There's just a little option where like you right click on the person's name or you hover over their name and it says more, and you can pick Spotlight Video. And it just makes that person's video the video that everybody sees.
Is that similar to pinning someone?
It's the exact same thing as pinning, except it's pinning it for everybody.
That forces it.
For everybody. Yep,
Now you spotlighted yourself, right?
you did.
Okay. You little narcissist.
Nice. Okay, so Liz, you are going to get me a video draft by October 1st,
Yes.
St. Teresa Day.
That's
You'll
only
be
fitting,
sending
right?
You'll be sending me a gift for my Saint Day. Thank you.
Want some brownies?
Yeah. No, I want a video.
If you bring me the most members, I'll send you some. I have an Amazon Prime
But
account.
is that going to be the speakeasy video?
Yeah.
Excellent.
The
And
bar
there-
for most members is really low. I think one would probably qualify.
Yeah. If we got that much money, we can send brownies to everybody.
Nice.
I'll break them myself.
Yeah. So I just want to check back with regard to open houses. Do you think you've got some extra ideas or some extra plans for open houses? Our district will give you credit if you run an open house.
I mean, the one thing is, like, at our meeting, our members were interested in doing theme stuff. So I don't know. Part of what I heard you saying is that only really jives with the internal members, not with external ones. But I don't want to take that away. Maybe we just do it once for us, and that's not the open house. But
Well, you can. So one of my clubs is focused more on the professional and the not fun stuff. So we're, and it's a
we're a
fun,
non-fun club. Come to us.
yes, we're the not fun club. We are the broccoli of Toastmasters. But it's more a matter that we sat down, we wrote out a calendar. This is the club I'm in with Jackie Breezer. Jackie came up with an excellent calendar, spreading out featured speakers and featured themes. So those themes are going to relate to professional skills. We had one about using social media. We're going to have others on interview skills and how you feel when you've reached an accomplishment, because that's actually part of, what we're selling Toastmasters is reaching goals. So we're doing a total of 8 special meetings over the course of a year.
With Toastmasters or outside community members?
We will be bringing in, I believe it's mostly Toastmasters that are going to be the featured speakers, and the club themes are going to be covered by members. So being able to, plan ahead and have these ideas written down so all the members know, and they have the ability to say, I'm doing this project and that works really well. I'm doing the mentoring project, speech in level 2. And I think it would be really great to talk a little bit about accomplishment because I was mentored. That works. That person gets a speaking slot that day.
Nobody in our club wants to do that. I mean, I can't even want to do the online meetings.
And that's unfortunate.
It's true, though. I mean, it's what it is.
Reach out to speakers. Reach out. We have district-wide, we have some speakers who are always up for speaking.
Where's that list?
Herman Noronha is he's out west. He was one of our district finalists.
What is it? Herman what?
Pardon?
Herman what's his last name?
Noronha, I think it is. I can't remember it. I can't pronounce it. It's Noronha or Noronha. David Litkevich is local. John Scott might even be interested in stepping up and, practicing a speech, especially as people are starting to need their international projects.
Yeah.
They'll want to step in. And if
Okay.
you can even advertise, hey, this guy was the district humorous speaking winner type of thing. There's guys in Illinois. There's a club that does professional speaking that might possibly have people who want to step in.
I visited one of those clubs when I was staying in Chicago last year. That's a good idea. Some Midwest Professional Speakers is one of them.
Reach out to them and see if any of them want to do a 7 to 15 minute presentation, and then advertise them from Chicago.
Right.
Okay, so you've got some options going there, and then let the community warm fuzzy feeling of your members keep people, attract them with the speaker, keep them with the warm fuzzy members. If you do fun themes, that's great. If your members want your themes, that is awesome. Get their input, get their suggestions. You can advertise that you did this. I'm just not sure if it's necessarily something front loadable. I don't really need to boot up my computer and run Zoom to see people wearing funny hats. That's my.
What I can tell you, like we did Elvis, we did Don't Be Cruel on Thursday, and I mean, I had a couple of friends visit, but I mean, no one came from the community at large. And Kathy had a really cool graphic, but I mean, that's not, no one says, oh, I'll skip Netflix and go to Don't Be Cruel night. They just don't do that.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's fun if you know the people, but first you have to bring them in, get them hooked. And that's just a bonus for members. That's my perspective. There's a chance that there's a fun theme that would also appeal to people to bring them in. I'm just not sure about which one that would be.
The other thing I noticed once I visited an international club somewhere, and they had like a former world champion, and he was from India, and I don't remember where this club was, but it was like the middle of the night for him, and he showed up to speak. I think they were like doing evaluations of speeches or something, or maybe they had his speech up and people were they talked about a couple finalists, and this guy showed up in the middle of the night. And I mean, at the end they all said, they have a book or a seminar, and maybe they're hoping somebody buys it, but it's amazing the people that you get to show up at the wrong time to come to a meeting.
Well, there are people out there who want to speak. So if you want to advertise a speaker, think back the past couple of years of the great speakers we've had at some of our district events.
Do those people speak for free?
Ask them if they are preparing their awesome international project. They just might. They want to speak to people that haven't already evaluated them 15 billion times.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, people at district events, the guys on the stage, yes, they do speak for free. They speak for the only thing the district can comp them for is they can pay for like plane travel, hotel room, food, and they can let them sell something from the back of the room. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the actual speaking is free. They don't charge anything for that. And some of these people, depending on the on what you're trying to do, some of these people just really believe in the Toastmasters program. Mm-hmm. And they would love to help a club out. Don't count on it, but, reach out, because most of them understand where you're at. And the worst they can say is no.
No, yeah, okay.
Another option is bringing in, even from outside the district, different leaders. There's a very real chance that one of our international directors or regional advisors would be willing to speak at a club. Mm-hmm. Hey there, could you speak at my club for like 10 minutes on this date? Yeah. It looks like Robert is getting off the call for the evening, but thank you so much for hosting, Robert.
Bye, Robert.
Say hi to Nikki for us.
Yeah, and Teresa, you're the host, so the event can keep going. I just need to drop out. So Yep. Have a great evening.
Take care. So yeah, with there's speakers that are doing like the international speech contest, who are getting ready to present again and get into the hopper. There's also, leadership within Toastmasters. If you reach out to people, past district directors even, international directors, regional advisors, there are people out there who would love to speak at a club level. And if you ask them, the worst thing they can say is no, in which case you're just going to ask somebody next. So it might take some effort getting a hold of these people, but for the most part, a lot of them are supportive of clubs and will try to, maybe they might not be able to meet that specific time, but parlay it into a different time.
Okay.
So there's all sorts of different options for, specific open houses, featured meetings, events to attract new members and attract new guests.
Yeah, and all those things could attract the general public.
Yeah.
Especially if we have a lot of fancy horses coming through every week, it could, it could be very enticing.
Yeah, but make sure and get the word out about that. So one of my goals as area director is to increase our area number by 50. Was it 50? 30? I think 30. 50.
You have 5 clubs and you want it, so that's 10 people a club.
Well, it's actually one new club plus an extra few people from each club.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you got one new club with 20, yeah, that would be doable.
So,
especially if you got a corporate one.
So I'm hoping, well, unfortunately right now, corporate
is unfrozen.
Really challenging.
Yeah.
I'm in an open club that meets at a corporate space. They will not be allowing guests in until after the new year.
That makes sense with COVID. Yeah.
That's really challenging. My home corporate club is also not going to be in place until after January. And unfortunately, it's really challenging to get people to take a break when you are working from home, because when you're working from home, people think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, get my work done and not take a lunch. It's really hard to be really regimented about your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also really hard for some of those deadlines to respect your schedule. There have been a lot of projects that have been really high stress and high, heavy deadlines. So my club has met maybe twice. And a lot of corporate clubs are not meeting at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they at risk of the people not renewing their dues then? Yeah. Yeah, that's a big risk. Yeah, because if they're not meeting, why would you pay your dues? That doesn't make sense. Unless you're an officer and you really care, but yeah.
Yeah. So, which actually brings us full circle to the fact that dues are due September 30th. Please.
I paid mine already online.
I did too. As officers, we can do that online ourselves. If your club wants to open it up, I sent out an email earlier, very much earlier today, with the address to email at the mothership about how to allow either your guests to do their own online fees or to allow people to pay for a full year right up front. So those are 2 different options. Our district is promoting the idea of getting people to pay a full year, which would require a treasurer to reach out to the mothership, or have the treasurer reach out to the mothership and allow all members to do online payments, because that way you're not waiting for their checks.
Yeah, Kathy just became our treasurer, so she's taking care of that, and she doesn't even want people going online. She's weird about, not weird, but she's worried that because our members are older, that they're not going to be able to handle it. So she's working with everybody individually. So
I think, I respect if people know their members, and that's great. For me, I think allowing the option can make things easier. I mean, personally, I'm not a spring chicken, and I haven't used a check in 9 years.
I think everybody could figure it out too, but she doesn't see it that way. So, and I don't want to make waves. I'll just let her do it the way she wants to. But
It's possible that there are people who can't. I mean, if you've got a member or two that aren't even doing Zoom, they could be more resistant than me.
yeah.
So, and I get that. So, good luck with open houses. You've both got my email. Let me know if I can help with anything. If you're missing any links, if you're missing contact information, drop me a line. I look forward to an awesome year this year, bringing in lots of new people to the joys of Toastmasters, because both of your clubs I know have some really great experienced Toastmasters, and being able to use all of that experience to support new members would be awesome. So
Thank you for all the good ideas.
okay, thank you guys for being here and have a great evening.
You too. Stay safe.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye, Yuri.